Linguistics completed, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but we need to.
Have you seen these two? They were already.
From Algeria, from as far north in the UK as Aberdeen, and off to Wales, we have someone from Cardiff this way. Bangor, excuse me, Bangor. So we have people from all over.
Research from a variety of angles, all of which are related to my experience of using interviews in my research over the past 2 decades. I worked at a business school with a very large language department. This is almost a caricature, really, and I think positivism, all the debates about that, again, I don't want to get into that. But this is a particularly short exchange. Fortunately, some of the interviews were longer. But there were quite a bit of similarity as well. You know, it was a start. It was getting me going as a researcher. And again, I was still teaching. I was sort of thrown into turmoil because of this major construct in what I was looking at. Okay, I'd like you to take these 3 that you've listed, and I want you to put them in 2 categories. And so the person might say, okay, brother, mother, sister. These 2 are female and this one's male. What you build up is a very, very idiosyncratic terminology. And you'd have, when you're actually distinguishing, you have this versus this. And these are the way, at least on that occasion, that he was making sense of the world of teachers. I've seen certain claims made about some of the data in some of this research, and I wonder, you know, how well the person is actually able to convey a range of views on particular topics. And finally, there are obviously other questions that we could look at, but that will be all for today. Okay, so that's all I have to say. Thank you.
What is Ronga Ronga? It's the unciphered writing system of Easter Island. It's the only example of writing in the whole South Pacific at that time. Tahua tablets made from a European ore, which helps us to kind of establish when it was probably created. Here we see that the main body has been reduced to a elliptoid form.
Identity building, and now they're calling it identification. And I'm looking at that from a social psychology perspective. So the first thing I want to go through is socialization of culture. So they have a language, they have a communication. If we're talking about different forms of communication, I'm talking about when there is no language, there is no communication, not even gestures, not even sounds.
You could say the argument could be made that professional writing, academic writing, including journalistic writing, could all be creative in terms of how you wrote it. But the genres of creative writing I refer to here are the kind of genres that allow writers to freely indulge in emotional or individual literary expression. Historically, creative writing has been thought to be a talent, which is personal, natural, and instinctive, and thus not regarded as suitable for an object of theoretical study. For academic writing, you think it's less personal, it's more like do the business. So we read a topic and we write. But for creative writing, it's like have a personal value, personal meaning to your work. So you feel like you need to take more time. Anything that I could use to the...
Yeah, you can close this thing, but this sometimes
I make myself understood. Will somebody with better English skills help instead?
Unlike previous studies, it focuses specifically on how native speakers perceive the non-native speaker's speech. In brief, the hearer's perception.
But it's based in social linguistic aspect of course reading. First stage is you have an outer word, okay, under the help of L1, and then link to the concept. As a second language learners, actually our conceptual knowledge is already stored in our first language, right? If you want to learn a second language word, you need to activate the first language. That's the first stage.
English is offered as the first language in the school curriculum, but the mother tongues are offered as the second language. As you can see, I'm taking a social cultural term. This is what Professor David Block has argued through his book published in 2003. So I was talking with Joshua and I said, there is enough work that has been done to look at patterns of learning strategy use, but let's look at how learners learn. So what is a strategy? Most often in the learning strategies literature, a strategy is regarded as a process. If you look at Ernesto Maccaro's theoretical framework, who obviously says his is an cognitive theoretical framework, because that's what he says.
We did an evaluation.